Jumping into your first job, you did a sales job as your very first role. What did you learn from that role?
Sales, well, you know, I'll share that it was at first just a really, I mean, I think sales is something that every role is. At the end of the day, we're all in sales, no matter what the job title. You're selling your boss to keep your job at the hamburger shop. You're selling your, lemonade on the lemonade stand. So for me, I think you learn a lot about personal development and confidence. You learn the ability to face rejection and overcome that, and to find, value in yourself beyond what maybe other people might say or think about your particular product or service that you're offering. And you just learn the skills of life to maneuver. In fact, I think you relearn them. Children seem to understand sales. My 5-year-old certainly understands sales. And
it's interesting you say that. My 8-year-old understands negotiations better than probably most businessmen on this planet.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. They don't take no for an answer, for sure. And it's just I think a skill set that no matter where you are, if you're listening to this podcast, you're very likely on the path toward business success. And having a concept of sales, negotiation, personal development, it's going to be key to helping you succeed in your business.
Thank you. And before we go into Lake Growth Financial Services, you spent 8 years as a consultant and a coach. Your development as from sales into coaching and consultancy, was that a natural progression? Did you feel like that was a natural path before you went into the financial planning?
Well, yeah, I think many people start from the other side of it, come at it with spreadsheets and data to decide, what Monte Carlo scenario we're going to run to perform the best possible income scenario for one's retirement. That's a perfectly legitimate way to enter into this universe of financial planning, and rightfully so. But any computer can run those simulations. I think what truly brings power is the personal financial planning. Starts with the word personal. So what are the dreams, hopes, goals, desires, concerns, fears of the person sitting across the table from me? We're over Zoom. We meet with folks all over the country and even across the world, and we do it over Zoom mostly. And we're having one-on-one advisory consultations with folks, not just about how their IRA or their 401k or their pension is doing, but about how it's doing for them, and what that's actually making them feel. What are their experiences of the recent world conflict, the recent world pandemic, uncertainty? This does things to marriages. It does things to your parenting. It does things to your waistline and your bottom line. All these things have a impact on your personal life. It's personal financial planning, Mark. And actually, an interesting study came out in California. They did a study on the volatility of the stock market relative to how many people showed up with heart conditions at the hospital. And there was a result that there's a direct correlation. Now, they couldn't put causation in there, but there's a correlation between a 10% drop in the stocks and bonds market and a 35% rise in heart attacks and other heart conditions. Now, isn't that interesting?
It is.
Isn't that interesting? So your health and your wealth are directly related. I would also add that your emotions and your marriage and your personal friendships and your personal view of your self-esteem, when you lose money in the market, you start to say things to yourself. I had one of my first roles in the financial world was working alongside a CPA, and we were working amidst the 2008 crash.
Yeah.
And mainly my role was to help with tax prep and everything, and to just get the documents ready for the CPA. But I would overhear her make calls, and these calls would include 63-year-olds, 65-year-olds, saying things to them like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Client, I know you saved for 25 years, but I just lost you half your life savings." And that devastates a person. And I almost got out of the industry, because I couldn't handle that kind of weight on my shoulders. Thankfully, we found other strategies that didn't rely on the stock market to, perform in order for goals to be accomplished. But the key piece to it is if your self-worth and your view of yourself is tied to a number on a screen, the Dow Jones or whatever, it's going to be a very fickle, very stressful couple of decades for you.
I'd not heard that sort of research, but it doesn't surprise me that people's health suffers in depressions and recessions. And it sounds to me, when I was doing my research, it sounded to me that that 2008 experience that you had was really a mindset shift for you on what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it, and the strategies that you were going to use. I know you've touched on it already, but what was that turning point in your mind that changed how you were doing things and why you were doing things in 2008?
Well, I had a really wonderful friend and a former professor come visit me from Texas to Chicago, where I was living at the time. And he asked me a couple of open-ended questions that got me thinking critically about where my money was going and what it was doing. And it's a great, coaching is such a great skill set. And I know you're very skilled and very familiar with the skill set of coaching. One of the words that he taught me as a coach himself was the word eduction. And the word eduction is from Latin to educe, or to draw out. What is latent or the potential within. And I think the word potential is a very powerful English word. Potential just means to take and make the most advantage of the asset that you have. And that can be a financial asset, but it can be a personal asset as well. And so what he did in that moment was he helped me sort of understand that there was something inside me that was greater and better than just relying on the average advice of CNN Money and the financial infotainers on the radio and so forth, to tell me to put my money in the stock market, to put it into a tax-deferred 401k, or as I call them, a ticking tax time bomb. There's a long history, a wonderful history of people asking deep, relevant, and insightful, penetrating questions that activate the potential of another person. And I think that's a really wonderful definition of how coaching has worked for me. And it's now what I try to do with our clients across the country. We just ask deep, hopefully helpful, trust-building, insightful questions that help people find out what they truly want. Because honestly, Mark, I think many people live their entire financial life just following what they've been told. Their money guru told them to get the Roth IRA. Their money guru told them to pay down their mortgage. Their money guru told them to ... But they don't necessarily stop and think, is this what I truly want my money to do for me? And the bold, maybe polarizing opinion here is that not everybody should follow the exact same financial advice that you heard on the radio.